Welcome to the Friendly Frequencies podcast. I am your host, Carmen McLeod, and I am here to talk to you about my passion for spirituality and personal development. My purpose in life at this time is to remind you how powerful you truly are and that you create your own reality. If the mind, the soul, and the universe are topics that interest you, and you want to continue to evolve into your soul's purpose, then you are in the right place. Thank you for joining me as I travel the world and record my journey through self-discovery. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm coming to you from the same place in the Philippines. I have a lot going on in life. However, I don't know if it's all stuff that I'll talk about at this moment in time, but I'm definitely going to update you all soon. A lot of things have been going on, and it's too soon to share, I think. It's a lot. But life is really exciting, it's really moving, and things are escalating, and I'm just really, really excited. One thing I guess I can talk about is I've been given the opportunity to be generous, which is great because I just talked about last week about the power of generosity. So I think that maybe I manifested this through the podcast, talking about, the power of generosity. And then I was given a task through my breakthrough course. So the next section of the breakthrough course is on right now. And so it's been, ongoing for, I don't even know now, maybe a month now. And I still have another few months to go. And it's just getting more intense, more, stretching me further and further, and really pushing myself and my team to become the leaders that we 100% are meant to be. And it's really exciting because I swear, I feel like it's really manifesting things for all of us. Like, opportunities are starting to come in. And I think it's just because we have this energy now where we're motivated, we're going, we're following our visions. And, I talked about my vision and what our team vision is. And I asked you guys in the last episode, what's your vision? But we're all taking action on our visions, and it's really paying off already. Like, things are coming in for us where it's allowing us to step into that role of leadership that we're destined for. So this is happening for me as well, and I'm excited to tell you guys all about it. But what I will tell you about is a part of our homework for the week is to give back and to feed people who need food for this week. So this has been kind of a fun challenge for me as well because I'm not home, I'm in the Philippines. This is what better place to have that assignment come to me. I feel really blessed to be here and to be able to make a difference over here and not just at home. So I'm going to set it up so that something is going to go on at home as well. I'm going to get some people involved with this, but out here I have the chance to now go into town with a couple of the people I'm working with out here, and we're going to go and bring some food to a local school and feed the people out there. And so I'm really excited about that. That's just a little life update, nothing to do with really the topic of the day, but that's just kind of what I'm really excited about at the moment. Like, I'm currently working on this, so it's kind of fresh in my brain. And I'll give you all the other exciting updates, very soon. It's just definitely way too soon to talk about some things right now because it's just coming into fruition and whatever. So let me just get started on the day. I hope I'm not talking too fast because I'm vibrating, you guys. I'm buzzing with excitement. I'm so happy about everything that's going on right now. So what better place to be filming a podcast? Like, what better energy to be filming this podcast in, right? I have the Friendly Frequencies vibe right now, for sure. So today I'm going to talk about conscious language. I love this topic, and it's been coming up a lot in my course. Actually, it's huge. Like, constantly giving feedback to each other around our language, the language we're choosing to use, and especially around goal setting and vision setting and all of this. I mean, conscious language has been something that I've been learning about for a while now. My auntie is really into it, and my mom as well. You know, my auntie and my mom are the two people in my life who are really conscious about conscious language, and they definitely are always willing to give me feedback around, oh, you know, you're saying this word, but I think that you really mean this. You know, I think that you don't really mean to say this, you mean this. And just bringing to my intention the power of what my words are. And all of us, you know, speak words every single day. And a lot of people are not conscious of it, of what the words are, including myself. I'm definitely not an expert in conscious language. I still have a long way to go. But I definitely have quite a lot of nuggets of learning that I've received recently and throughout my life around this subject, and that I'm constantly working on, and that, you know, it's just really fresh in my memory, and that it's, I think, really important in creating the life of your dreams is to be conscious of the language you're using, because, yeah, like I said, every single day we're speaking. But are we really aware of what we're saying? And are we aware of the power of what we're saying is, and what that is actually doing for our life, and how that is manifesting into our reality, what we want or don't want, right? It goes along the same lines as manifestation and the law of attraction. We're attracting what we put out into the universe. Part of putting something out into the universe is through words, spoken words. So it's huge, and it's every single day. So I'm really excited to talk about this right now. So, you know, conscious language, in one term, you can is looked at as being conscious of the way you're speaking, so that you're not using like stigmatizing language. And that's not really the way that I'm speaking of it right now, because there's a few different ways to look at it. That's one way, and of course I agree, you know, with that side of it. But the way that I'm speaking about this is more around how words have energy, and words are, you know, we use our language to turn our thoughts and our beliefs into our reality. You know, what's going on in our mind all the time, all day. And like I've mentioned, it's a lot of autopilot going on in our brains, and our thoughts are just, we're not even aware of what we're thinking about, and it's always the same thoughts every day. And same with our language. We are not really aware of what we're saying every day, and it's a lot of the same stuff every day. So it's really, really important to get aware and to become aware of what words we're using a lot, and what those words really mean, and what that's doing for us in our lives every single day. So I'm going to give you a few examples of conscious language shifts that you may be able to make, that I've sure as hell made in my life, and some that just come up really frequently in most people's lives that you may not be so conscious of yet. One huge one, like one of the biggest ones, is I have to versus I get to, or I am, if you want to take it to the next level, I am blessed to. So when you say I have to do this, or I need to do this, it's really important to shift that into a place of gratitude when you realize that, oh no, I get to do this. Because sure, not everything in your to-do list is something that you want to do necessarily, but aren't you really blessed to have the opportunity to be doing all of those things anyways? Because there's clearly a reason you're doing it. It's benefiting you to some degree. You're going to be making money from it. You're going to be changing the world. You're going to be doing this. There's a reason for all of the things that you do. So coming from a place of gratitude is always possible in these scenarios. I get to do this. You know, it's very, I mean, for me, like, imagine, even for myself, sometimes I'll actually catch myself saying, oh, I have to go do this today. I have to go paint the mural today. And I literally stop and I'm like, excuse me, Carmen? You have to? You get to. You're blessed to. You're living in the Philippines. You're blessed to be doing all of these things. And when it comes to all of the homework I have for this course right now, I am blessed to have all of this. You know, as much as it could be, at first it's overwhelming, right? And the issues with connection for me has been really overwhelming, to not be able to to actually have the time to do something, but to literally just not be able to do it because I don't have internet or don't have cellular connection. Like, that can really shake up my energy and then get me out of my place of gratitude into frustration and thinking, oh, I have to do this, but I can't. But regardless, I get to do this, and I get to do it eventually. It'll happen once it comes back. Coming from a place of gratitude. So there we go. Bringing it back to our gratitude talk. So that's a huge one. If you can just shift your language from I have to I get to, and if you want to take it one step further, I am blessed to. And another one is okay, this is a huge one. This is one I think I've already mentioned around goal setting, is talking about what you want versus what you talking about what you want in life versus what you don't want. So when you're talking about, what I mentioned in the last episode was, when you're writing your goals or your vision for your life, rather than saying, I don't want to be so controlling, or I don't want any more drama, I don't want any more negativity in my life, rather than saying those things, because remember conscious language, like what you put out is what you're going to bring back. So what you're putting out is drama, controlling. You're saying the words that you don't want. So what is the opposite of those words? That's what you want. I want to be this. How do you want to be? What do you want to attract? And so no negative language. We're not doing this. Actually, I just did it right now. No negative language. Instead, I would say use positive language. See, I'm not perfect, you guys, but you get the point. So just remember, what you focus on expands. That's, kind of the basis of this conversation. So focus on what you do want. Another thing is around just the meaning of words, and the hidden meanings behind words actually carry a lot of energy. So a really common example that's come up, and it has come up in the course in, around certain people's goals, and I've heard this also, my auntie taught me this a while ago, is around losing weight. For somebody who wants to lose weight, it's a common expression that you would say around what you want for your health. But the expression lose weight means that you are going to find it. The word lose. The word lose in our brains is associated with losing something, but then later finding it. And, it's argued that that is why people often gain the weight back after losing it. So when just shifting that word lose to release, or to whatever word you'd like to use is fine. If you're just looking at it, even Google it if you need to. Look at the dictionary of what it really means. That'll help. But release is the one I would use if I was to be using that for somebody. I would like to release this much weight, this many pounds. And being specific, like how much weight? Do you want to lose weight? Well, how much? But that's different. That's another subject. But yeah, so just the meanings behind words that we may not realize have more meaning than we think, or a different meaning than we think. And another really common one is the use of, and this kind of goes along with the positive and negative aspect, but it's around I have to, which I already mentioned, but I'll try, or I need to. I'll try is a big one. When somebody says that they're going to try, it usually means that they're not going to try. When you say, can you please do this, and they say, I will try, as it doesn't feel very good when someone responds that way, because you kind of just know that means that they're not going to do it. My dad has always said throughout my whole life, which is obviously not his quote, it's from either Star Wars or Star Trek or something, that you do or you do not, there is no try. And I say it all the time now too, because he's always said it. But I'm glad he always said this to us, because I don't really say the word try very much. I like to say I will because of this. It's kind of ingrained in me, which is nice. And it goes along the lines of and this is something that I say a lot, which is not if but when. I say this to people all the time. I just said it to someone on the phone today. When, because when people are talking about their goals or talking about what they want, and they say, if this happens, that's going to be great. Or, if I get this job, that's a big one, right? If I get this job, if this, if that. And I always, no matter, even if it's a person I don't know at all, and I'm just in a random conversation, I will literally correct them and I'll say, not if, but when. And shifting that to when means it's coming, it's happening. Like, yeah, I'm ready, let's go. There's no ifs, there's no plan Bs. Not if, but when. And I know I'm just kind of throwing examples all over the place, not being so structured with it, but that's okay. You guys can follow along. Rather than saying I want, say I will, or I am. Or depends on the context, right? Like for me, when I'm writing my vision, it's like I don't say I want to be this way, because when you say I want, it distances the thing from you in a way of I don't have that yet. So I want this. So whenever I'm writing my goals or my vision, especially, I'll always say I am or I have, currently, presently. It's already happened. For me, it's already happened. All of these things my vision is already here. As much as I have a vision and I'm working towards this vision, it's already here. And it's kind of hard to explain, but I'm already living my vision, and I'm just going to keep expanding it. But even if what your vision feels really far away from where you're living right now and what you're doing right now, just keep that context of I am, I have, currently. Because it's really powerful to stand in that, and it's currently here. And yeah, so the I want just distances that thing from you. And yes, okay, so I'll mention one thing so a major conscious language shift that I've had to make, and I mean all of these that I'm mentioning are the common ones, and those are all ones that I've had to practice, that I continue to practice and catch myself with, but those are the more common ones. One that I do personally that I'm not sure if other people do this very often. I'm sure they do sometimes, but for some reason I caught myself in the last few months realizing how often I say the words I'm dying. Like it's really, really hot outside. Oh, I'm dying of heat. Or another one that I use a lot is around excitement. Like, oh, I'm dying to go to New Zealand. Oh, I'm just dying to see my family. I say this a lot, and I think it was either my mom or myself. I think I was with her when I realized it. I think she might have pointed it out. Like, are you sure you want to be using those words? Why don't you say like anything else? Like that's kind of the worst way you could say it. That's literally the worst thing that you could possibly attract to yourself right now. So maybe let's shift the language there and just say that you're really excited for something. And it makes a lot of sense. I'm still really working on this one. It was such a habit of mine that I'm still really working on getting that language shifted in myself. I'm really, anytime I say I'm dying, I'm like, oh, never mind, not dying. I'm living for this. Please don't want to attract this. So that's that's a pretty personal example of my conscious language. So, I mean, a few more conscious language tips that I can share is to talk less and listen more. This is more around communication than it is around the specific language. But around this, to not be always rambling and always be the one speaking, and to, listen. Like, it's a common phrase, which is you have two ears and one mouth for a reason. I've heard this many times, a lot of times recently, and it's true. Speak less than you listen, listen more than you speak. You have a lot more to learn that way, because if you're always speaking, you're not really learning anything new. You're just essentially teaching other people and telling other people what you know, and yeah, sure, you may be helping them, but how are you going to keep growing yourself if you're not willing to listen to other people? You have a lot more to gain by listening than you do by speaking. So it's just something to be aware of. And when you are speaking, are you rambling on and kind of drawing out what you're trying to say, or are you being concise and clear about what you want, what you're saying, what's the purpose behind what you're saying? Sometimes people are speaking just to speak because they don't like the silence, but really, what is the value coming from you? What is the purpose of what you're saying? Just being aware of these kind of things is going to be really helpful. And I work on it as well, where yes, I don't think that I talk a lot, but I do have that issue of, I do like to fill gaps and silence so if there's a silence, I'll tend to kind of just chime in and say things. And that's something I'm working on, of course. And I know that's something that a lot of people aren't comfortable with silence. So the next thing that I'm going to suggest, and this one is something I'm definitely working on right now. These are all personal to me, you guys. Like, like I said, this is why I feel like this is a great thing for me to be sharing right now, because it's like my personal journey through this conscious language thing. It's all, I think that I can, I'm not teaching you guys anything. I'm literally mostly telling you all of the things that I've had to learn in order to be more conscious, and that I'm still learning. So one thing that I'm really working on right now is lose the story. This is huge in our course. What's the story I'm telling myself right now? It's a big thing, and I'm really enjoying asking myself this question, because I realized a lot of people have a story around what they're, whether it's an excuse or just a generalization of something happens to you and you generalize that as, okay, so this happened, but that must mean this. And it's kind of a way of almost making things more dramatic than it needs to be, and how everything must mean something else when things just are the way they are. Looking at things more neutrally rather than looking at something as good or bad, it works along these lines of, when you stay out of the story, you're then able to focus on the facts and be laser focused on what it is that you want to get out of the situation. And so if somebody is offending you, let's see if I can find a good example that actually happened. Oh, okay. Yeah, a great example is my experience in my course. So if you haven't listened to my last episode, this is something that I go into details about, but basically I had a really difficult time in my internet connection. A lot of things were going wrong for me in especially the first day of the course, but like all weekend things were going wrong. Internet issues, no connection. There was a typhoon came in that weekend. I had to move cities to take the course. I was put through the ringer completely. And when I explained this, because this was a huge growing factor for me in that course, and it actually really was essential for my growth, and I see that there was a reason for it all. It was difficult, but so of course I've been explaining this story quite a few times to different people, because when people ask me how was the course, that was a huge part of my growth. I had two major things that happened that transformed me, and that was one. The other one is whatever. You can listen to the episode if you'd like. But for this one, so it's a part of my growth is around this, what happened, right? But I feel like I'm like, okay, but I'm telling a story. Like, it's like, of course, storytelling is fine, but really, that is the story. And if I'm gonna always use that, so what I could do is use the excuses and use the story of my internet wasn't working, and so I was on and off the call, and then I ran out of data because I had to do it all on data, which took up 7 gigabytes, and then I ran out. I was kicked out for 15 minutes. That led to a 15 minutes of the worst time I could have been kicked out. I missed an exercise that was really important. I was not there for my team when I was supposed to be. So that's the story. Though it's all true, that's a long, drawn-out version of what happened, and it's almost kind of like a poor me situation as well. Like, the story is me explaining why something had to happen. That's a good way to explain it. You're explaining why. Why did this happen? But rather than just focusing on the facts. So what the facts are of the story, if I want to get rid of the story and just be more laser focused on what I learned, is I was not prepared for the day. I didn't plan enough data was one major issue, and I didn't plan that out. 100% my responsibility. And I suffered the consequences of that, and my team also suffered the consequences of that. So that's me taking the story out of it. So a way that you could start to implement this into your life to make it more personal to you is, I think the best way would probably be when you're starting to feel a reaction to something that's maybe a negative reaction to something, you're either offended or you're upset, or kind of just notice like how you're feeling about a situation, and what's the story that you're telling yourself around that. So if you are late and for something, and and then that ruins the rest of your day, and there's all these all these stories behind everything, and always a lot of the time it's to explain and to, because you want to, not that you always want to use excuses, but it's like you want to explain yourself to other people so that they don't think that you're just not caring about the situation. And for me, it's something that I'm struggling with currently. Like I have a whole bunch of stories. I really do have all these reasons for why I'm not able to answer my group right away and all these things, but at the end of the day, that's not what matters. The story is not the important part of it. It's what are the facts, and what are you going to do from this point on to either improve or to learn from, and even the positive things, right? It's not about the story around how you are excelling in an area. It's about, okay, it's just like neutral feedback, right? Kind of along these lines. So another tip that I can mention is around keeping things in the first person. So like using your language in the first person, speaking for yourself. I think that sometimes people will start, sometimes, and I do this too, like saying you when you really mean I do this, like, and I'm trying to think of an example, but an example that I can give you came up also in my course. I know a lot of this is relating to my course because of course it's fresh in my memory, and it's definitely teaching me a lot of these things. But I was giving some feedback around my experience, or yeah, just like what I felt that my experience of the prior weekend was. And I said something like this. I said, this weekend was really about, or what a huge thing that I got from the weekend was noticing, sorry, let me just think about what I said. It was a good weekend for getting you out of your ego. Something like this, right? And that's how I said. And then I corrected myself. My ego. And then I kind of corrected myself again and said, all of our egos. This weekend helped us all get out of our egos. But I started by saying, help you get out of your ego. That's a good example of not putting it in the first person when it clearly is about me. For me, in my experience, it's my ego. I'm not talking about anybody else's ego as much as it is all of our egos, but it's all our own personal experience with our egos. So that's why I was able to change it to we, because we kind of do everything in a group. We all, it's very team oriented, this course. So it makes sense in that case to say we, but I think in other senses, it's more important to say me, like when you're talking, especially if you're talking about your ego, or say there was an argument or a conversation that happened where, it's in that case with just like one person or something like this, you're going to take responsibility for your own ego. You're not going to say, both of our egos, you're going to take responsibility for yourself. And I think it's along these lines. But for our course, it's a we thing, because we're all doing this. We're all in it together. We're all working on our egos, that kind of thing. And yeah, I think I'm just going to reiterate. I don't know if I mentioned all of these terms. I think I did. But just in case, the words I can't, I don't, I won't, I want, and I need, those can all be replaced. And I would strongly recommend you replace them with I can, I will, I am, I choose, I love, those kind of things. And it's quite self-explanatory why you would want to switch these things out, because, the first ones I said are all kind of limiting words. And the second ones are more declarations. I am, I will, I choose. And it's focusing more on the truth, because a lot of the times that we say we can't, maybe I should say I. A lot of the times that I say I can't, I don't, I won't, maybe I won't, maybe it doesn't apply, but I can't and I don't. A lot of that is not true. I can, but I choose not to. So that's why it's more important to replace I can't with I choose. I choose not to. That kind of thing. And, I won't, I want, I need, I want and I need. I kind of explained this already, but it takes, for one, the I need is probably not true, because there's very few things in life that we really do need. A lot of them are just wants. And when you say you want something, that's perfectly fine to want something, of course. But to declare it as I want is very unpowerful. So rather than to say I want, like I said, to say, I will, or even more powerfully to say I am, I have, as if it's already here. So the final thing I'm going to mention around this is the power of I am. This one comes up a lot around, my mom says this a lot, and we definitely, it's a very powerful 2 words, I am. And it's come up a lot for me recently, especially as I'm creating these visions and contexts for my life and for myself, and who am I and who do I want to be. And of course, I'm not going to say it like I want to be this. It's when I'm asking myself, who do I want to be? And I'm going to take that answer and I'm going to say, I am this. And because I'm declaring it, starting now, it's 100% my choice whether I do this or not. And I choose to. So, everything after the words I am are a declaration of reality. So here's a good distinction, is to not confuse your feelings with the true reality. So if you're feeling a certain way, and then you turn that into almost the story of I am this, so it kind of links together. So I'm going to give you an example. And it's an example that I hear a lot at home. Like, I think a lot of my friends say this, and say the words, I'm broke. I'm too broke to do this. I'm so broke. And so the first example that came to my mind is I would, want to encourage them to say, I feel broke. Or even to just, probably best to keep that word away in general, but that would be a better way of saying it, is I feel broke right now, because it's fair. You can feel that way. It's totally valid. But when you say I am broke, that is, the words I am are so powerful. I am, and you're declaring this to the universe. This is what I am. And so be very careful about what you say that you are. I am. Like, if you're going around, and like I said, you're saying these things often, very constantly, all the time, not being aware of it. How often do you say, I am stupid, I am not good enough, those kind of things? And those are declaring statements to the universe of what you are, and you're going to continue to feel that way for as long as you declare it. So when the time is, what am I trying to say? when it's an appropriate time to say how you're feeling, say how you're feeling. I feel broke right now. I'm feeling not worthy right now. Excellent. Definitely, I'm definitely not saying that you should stop saying that kind of things, because those are the kind of vulnerability you need to have, and being truthful with yourself around how you're feeling, for sure. But what I'm saying now is, when you're using the statements I am, I'm going to challenge you to declare what you really want to bring into reality. And I'm going to leave you with a really powerful 2 questions that they're not mine. I'm not going to take credit for them. I just found them somewhere on an article I was reading, but I really loved them. So, first question, I want you to answer this. What if every word you said came true immediately? That's number 1. Or what if, and then the second question is, what if every word you spoke, you had to follow through with that immediately? So how would these two things change the way you speak on a daily basis? I'm very curious, and I'm asking myself these questions, and what definitely would come what's coming up for me when I answer these is, first, what I already mentioned was the I'm dying word, that those words that I have been consciously kicking out of my vocabulary. But really, could you imagine if this were true, if everything I said was manifested immediately into the physical universe, I would be dead. I'd be long dead by now. So that's scary. That's how I think about it, right? Of course, it doesn't mean I'm going to die because I'm saying I'm dying. But even if I don't, just drop dead immediately after saying that, think about how that affects my brain over a long period of time throughout my life. What if I had never realized this conscious language and continued to say I'm dying every time I'm complaining about something? That this is just me, and I think that this can probably be backed up by science, because I've definitely heard of things like this, but I'm not going to go into it because I don't know for sure. But I think that definitely, because I know how powerful the brain is, and I've definitely heard many studies around how what we tell our brain is, our brain doesn't understand the difference between reality and, the things that you tell it versus what's really real. That's why horror movies are so kind of harmful to the brain and things like this. So when it comes to, if I'm going to continue saying I'm dying, and I don't like that I'm saying it so much right now. No, don't listen to me, brain. I'm just giving examples. But my brain's going to say, okay, I believe you. You're right. And it's going to now give me evidence of this. It's going to make me sick. It's going to give me diseases. Who knows what it's going to do for me or to me. I don't know. I'm going to be doing it to myself if that's the case. So anyways, I'm very, very cautious about what I'm saying to because my brain has no idea what's real and what's not. It just thinks everything is real that we tell it. And I think I've probably mentioned, I don't know if I've mentioned this specific study, but it's my favorite one to talk about because it's the most it's the most amazing study. I think that it's my favorite example to give when it comes to how powerful the mind is. I've probably talked about it on here before, but that's okay. The study is around it was a study around cancer patients who were getting radiation treatment, and half of them, I think half of them were given the real radiation and half were not, or they were told that they were given the radiation, but they were given a placebo. So, and then the people who didn't get the radiation, 2/3, is it 2/3 of them or 1/3? Two. What is it? No, I think it's 1/3 of them. Sorry, I can't remember. 2/3 or 1/3 of them still lost their hair, even though they had no radiation, just because of the fact that they believed that they would lose their hair. So that speaks enough, I think. I don't even need to go into this. That's just boom, mic drop. I can't even, when I heard this example, and I've heard it a while ago, but it's never come out of my brain. It's never, I've told so many people this example because that is the most proof. That's all the proof you need around how powerful your mind is. You create your reality. I've said it a million times and I will continue to say it. So with that, thank you so much for listening. I know, I think today it started off this is just how I'm feeling around this podcast today, honestly. I felt really confident and strong around the first half of what I was filming, and then the second half, I felt very scrambled. I don't know how else to describe it. I think maybe because my energy was so high when I started this, and I was just really buzzing from what's going on in life, and I think that I was just speaking more from the heart and not really looking so much at my few notes that I have written down. But then the second half, I was kind of just looking through the notes and looking at what I hadn't said and starting to kind of just not read off of my notes, but see things I'm like, oh yeah, I wanted to say that. So it felt less natural. So anyways, I don't know why I'm saying this, but I guess I'm just being authentic where I'm like, did I do my best podcast today? I don't know. I felt really confident about it, and then my second half, I feel like I wasn't articulating the way that I want to, but I definitely feel a decrease in energy just for between when I started and now. I also took a lunch break halfway through this podcast, so that probably affected it. Anyways, just speaking out loud, or thinking out loud. I don't know. I'm tired, you guys. Anyways, thank you for listening. I love you so much, and I'm really excited to talk with you next week about who knows what, and I cannot wait to share with you guys just more of my journey. I will probably be in a new location by then, so that's really exciting, and yeah, can't wait. Love you. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Friendly Frequencies podcast. I would love it if you came and visited me on my social media. I am Friendly Frequencies on all social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and come visit me on there. And I would also love it if you could leave me a review either on Spotify, or even better would be on iTunes. iTunes is the best place for this. If you leave me a review on iTunes, it'll get out to more people, and I would just absolutely adore you for doing this. But thank you so much for being here, and I cannot wait to bring you more amazing content. Love you. Bye.